Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my general season review thoughts video regarding Season 2 of CW's The Originals. And yeah, I finished the season a couple nights ago, so I'm ready, I'm caught up, I'm finally prepared for, Season 3 to start next week. It's coming Thursday now, actually. On the 8th, of course, along with the start of Season 7 of The Vampire Diaries. Both shows I definitely plan on reviewing weekly. I will be taking a trip down to Arkansas towards, around October 23rd or so. I'll give you guys more of a heads up on that when the time gets closer. So that may interfere with it, or may not. I'm not entirely sure yet, because we're supposed to be leaving on a Friday, and we're planning on staying till around Tuesday or Wednesday the next week. So depending on how that all goes, I may be back in time for the, next episodes and stuff. But, we're going to be leaving, very, very early in the morning, Friday. That Friday we're leaving. And, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to, get in my reviews that Thursday night or not. But, again, we'll see. But, I'm very happy to be caught up with it right now, at least. It's to the point where, if I miss an episode, I can easily just, catch up on one on demand or something like that. It's simple enough now. And I'm very happy to be along with everyone else, it's at the same point of the story everyone else is at, so it feels good. It felt really good to finally be able to like the pages on Facebook and stuff. And, I definitely want to get this video out for you guys, because, of course, I did a video talking about Season 1, and I've done general reviews for each season of The Vampire Diaries as well as I was catching up. So, overall, I really did enjoy Season 2 of The Originals. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I made a little post about it the night of when I did finish it. But, I kind of wanted to spread it out to when I did the video, and, I was kind of busy yesterday with Lily and stuff like that, but I thought it was a fantastic season overall. It's still kind of hard for me to say, what season I prefer so far, Season 1 or Season 2. Both of them had a lot of great points to the, the story going on. So it's kind of about personal preference, I guess, just which story you happen to enjoy more. And, but, I think they're both definitely on the same level of quality as the other, no matter which one you prefer, they're both on that same playing field, I think. So The Originals is a very, very consistent show, and I'm very happy with it. It's actually to the point where I may actually like The Originals more than The Vampire Diaries. And that's a really big thing for me to say, because, of course, I still absolutely love The Vampire Diaries, unlike, certain people, but there still are, the fans out there and stuff, which is good, of course. The Originals is just such, just really high quality itself, too, and if you guys have seen my other videos talking about it, how much I love the Klaus character. I just think he's incredibly compelling, and, he's definitely probably my favorite character in the TVD and, Originals world. So that's an obvious reason why I could prefer The Originals compared to the Vampire Diaries, just because of how much I, really love and am interested in the Klaus character. And the other characters on The Originals are great as well. Elijah is awesome. Rebecca, of course, while she's there. I've grown to like Kaylee, even though she was a bit more annoying this season for reasons I'll get into a little bit later. Of course, I like Marcel. Davina's okay, I'm a little bit irritated by her here and there, and she's not as interesting as some of the other ones, but, I like her, for the most part. And some of the new additions, like, Aiden and stuff like that, who became a love interest for Josh. I did like him. I actually found the relationship to be, pretty cute. Even if you're not, that way, sexuality-wise, I think it's good that we can still accept that others can fall in love with each other and, do whatever they want to do, We should all have the same rights as each other. But, so I like that side of it, too. Like I said, this is a whole season, general review, so, as I always say, it's really, really hard for me to pick out every little thing in the season. I know there are going to be things I miss, there are going to be things I forget about. But this is sort of just a brief, sum up. That's why I call it a general review instead of just a review, because, I'm not going to be able to get into every specific part of the story this season, just general thoughts on the main bullet points and stuff like that. But, as always, you guys can comment and, leave your thoughts and anything else you want to hear my thoughts about. Maybe it'll remind me and I'll be able to write back to you. I am planning on writing back to everyone. It's not that hard now considering I only get a few comments at best. But for as long as I can, as long as I don't become ridiculously popular, I'll definitely always plan on responding to each comment I get. Or if I can't click the reply button for some reason, I'll always at least thumb up your comment so you don't need to worry about that. But you guys know I like to talk about it. I like to write paragraphs back and forth and stuff, so I really like to have a discussion about this stuff. But my favorite episodes, before I get into the main story points, my favorite episodes in particular, I really liked 4 and 5, because I had to deal a lot with Michael's return and stuff. And I think any episode that had to deal with Michael and Klaus's relationship in particular, I just thought that was really, really well done. You can there's just so much history between the characters, just so well thought out and just really, really well done. Just with the intensity between both of them and stuff like that, and I just think it's fantastic. So I like any episode that involves Michael as the focus. I also, of course, like that Klaus can usually get the best of him, in a fight. Of course, because Klaus is pretty much the most powerful, creature on Earth at this point. The only reason he was, staked by Michael, I think it was in episode 4 or 5, I forget which one. But, it's because he chose to save Cammy, and, we knew that would be his undoing, but, of course, he was able to come back from that anyway, due to other means, so that was good. Klaus and Michael's relationship is explored very well later in the season as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's see. Yeah, I also like what Elijah went through the season as well. With the red door and stuff like that. It showed his, with Esther, sort of being back and stuff like that, even though she was in another body. Characters being in different bodies, I'll touch on that, in a little bit in the video, but I did like the fact that Esther was around in this season as well. Even if it's not the original actress all the time, I still like the presence behind the character and stuff. And, she tortured Elijah and made him remember, Tatia, who is, another Nina Dobrev character. So it was cool to see Nina Dobrev in an episode of the originals, too. Elijah had remembered that Esther had, killed Tatia and used her blood and stuff like that. But it turned out Elijah had actually killed her, and, Esther had, plucked that part of the memory out from his mind, to bear him the grief and the guilt and stuff like that. But, of course, Klaus and Elijah both cared about Tatia, so, of course, after that, Elijah carried that guilt with him because Klaus cared for her as well. But I also, one of my other favorite episodes had to be number 11, number 11, Brother of the Damned. Of course, Finn was, back as well, except in another body. I did like the actor, though, for Vincent Griffith in the season, though. I'm glad the character's kind of going into season 3, too, by the way. But I liked number 11 because, that was when Finn had trapped both Klaus and Elijah. And, sort of he knew his brother so well, or so he thought, except Klaus was able to eventually break them out of there by actually showing a quality of himself that Finn didn't really think was there, and that was, forgiveness. And, he actually forgave Elijah for what happened to Toddy and stuff like that, which I thought was a really powerful and, big, development for the character and stuff like that. Klaus has really developed along the way since, when he showed up in Season 2 of The Vampire Diaries. So I really liked that episode as well. I liked 14, I Love You Goodbye. That was the whole Haley and Jackson wedding episode. There are just a lot of feels involved with that episode, How do I feel about Jackson? I like Jackson. I think he's a likable character, but I don't think of him as a guy that's going to be around for the whole series, or at least I don't think. And of course the triangle between him, Haley, and Elijah and stuff. But I think it was a really well shot, more like relationship focused episode. Now the originals isn't quite like the Vampire Diaries as far as focusing on the romance they do, but not quite as like in the center of it all the time. They do touch on it, they do like get into it. When it comes down to it, but it's a lot more about the characters themselves and their stories and sort of like their turf wars and things like that. But so this episode is good though, and especially the conversation between Haley and Elijah and stuff like that. And also as Haley was standing there with Jackson, she sort of looked and Klaus is watching him from the other side and stuff. Her and Klaus sort of shared like a look. I think it kind of, because remember Hope is originally her and Klaus's baby, so maybe there's like a thought in both of their back of their minds that they should kind of be, they wish they're kind of at a better place together, to be together as a mother and father for their kid. But some people think that there's still a possibility that Klaus and Haley could eventually feel for each other again. That doesn't seem very likely right now, considering how anti-Klaus Haley is by the end of the season, for good reason for the most part. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I thought that was a good episode. They're all good episodes. These are just the ones in particular that I would pick out, I think. Of course, I enjoyed everyone, and of course the end of the season was great as well. But those were episodes that I particularly really enjoyed. And of course, crap. Give me another second. Yeah, so 13, of course, the devil is damned. When Elijah was able to kill Finn in that body, and he took off the ring and he had the gas running in the house, and so he burned them, and that set the whole thing off and made the place explode. I thought that was amazing. And of course the final few episodes are very intense as well. And of course a lot of it had to do with Dahlia, Esther's sister, coming for Hope and stuff like that, for to keep herself awake so she won't have to sleep for another few centuries or whatever. And I also really liked the addition of Freya this season as well. I really like the actress they picked out for her. I don't know her name offhand. Let me check real quick. Yeah. Okay, I can't pronounce her name right, but Riley Vokel. You guys know what I mean, Freya. I think the actress did a great job. And I'm glad she's actually going to be a character that's going to be going forward, at least for season 3 too. So I like that whole story. I like how they showed the history between Freya and Dahlia, and also they touched on the relationship between Dahlia and Esther, and you really got to see how much Klaus really cares about Hope and stuff. And for certain reasons, we also seen Cole back this season as well, of course, in another body. And I'll probably talk about that before I forget. So there was a lot of body jumping this season. Like Esther was in that witch's body, Black Witch's body, and then Cole was in the boy's body, and then I don't know, and Finn being in the Vincent Griffith's body as well. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think the writing's great. As far as the consistency of the characters and stuff. I think that's still true to the show. But when if these characters are here in the present day on the show, I kind of want them to be the original faces, the original actresses and actors and stuff. Because despite how good the writing is, it can kind of take away from the presence of these characters being back if it's not how we remember them looking, And it's something else with Rebecca this season too. Claire Holt did make appearances, in the present day too, but she has more of a guest starring role at this point. Some people are completely misinformed. They thought that the writers just couldn't come up with anything in particular for Rebecca to do. That wasn't the case. Claire Holt had actually wanted more time for her family and not having to stay in their filming location, which is quite a ways away from her home where her family's at and stuff like that. She wanted to spend more time with them, and she hadn't seen her family for quite a long time apparently. So you can understand that. But for the story, it was a little bit irritating just because I love Rebecca. I think she's a great character. One of my favorite members of the original family, of course. After Klaus and Elijah, of course. But to see her in Eva St. Clair's body this season, it was good for a little while, but the way they just kept it, until the last episode of the season, it just kind of felt like a cheap way to have the Rebecca character around, but not, have Claire Holt work. And I did hear that Claire Holt is going to be making some appearances in season 3, but it sounds like it's going to be more flashbacks. So I wonder if they're going to keep the Rebecca character around and just have the actress who plays Eva St. Clair play Rebecca now at this point, permanently. I'm not sure. That could be a way to do it, but I sort of miss Claire Holt, being a constant presence and stuff like that. But I understand her reasoning and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. Because I like the storyline with Dahlia and stuff like that. Of course, how she set up Klaus, trying to turn turn his family against him and things like that. And Klaus didn't really counter that, too well, but he tried to play that into his hand actually pretty successfully. Klaus, as Marcel says this season, Klaus is the smartest person he's ever met. And Klaus really shows that, but at the same time, he's very cold, sort of he does push people away, just because of, he doesn't want to be, he's very paranoid, he's very, distrusting, and his ultimate fear is to be, betrayed by the people he loves and things like that. And that sort of came true this season, but sort of his own doing, sort of not. Now this is something people were debating about quite a lot, because, towards the end of the season, Klaus pulled some stuff, to be able to defeat Dahlia, which was actually probably the right way to do it, because Elijah and Haley and stuff had a plan in place to defeat Dahlia, but I think that was going to fall apart, with having Freya lure in there and step across the lines they created to render her mortal. I don't think that was going to end up working, and that could have easily fell apart. So Klaus's plan of making Dahlia think she had turned Klaus onto her side, because they did share some similar qualities with each other as characters. And Klaus had really tried to show that he was more like his old self, and then he ended up reversing it and sort of countering it against Dahlia, which actually ended up working. But, he did things he definitely didn't want to hurt Cammy, but, he sort of did, except, he didn't actually kill her like he appeared to do. And he left her with a message in her mind, saying he had a plan to tell his other siblings about that. There's a fly. And in the meantime, he had to, he killed Gia, someone that Elijah had grown quite fond of, a newer vampire that Marcel had turned this season. Now, was the killing of Gia really necessary? Probably not. I mean, I get that, Klaus wanted, Dahlia to believe him. If he had gone, any less further than that, then she might not have completely bought it. But, on the flip side, that's another person, someone in his family cared about, so he's not exactly helping to maintain those bridges either. But, yeah, Klaus definitely knows how to, get things done, and that's why he definitely work out in a show like Game of Thrones or something, because he can manipulate, and, he's just a great mastermind, too, really. And that's one of the main reasons why I love the Klaus character so much. But I like how Klaus just completely set Dahlia up, and he was able to turn it into his favor. They actually ended up bringing back Esther in her original body, so it was good to see the original actress for Esther brought back. So I like seeing her, even if it was for just an episode. And I do wish she had more lines with the Michaelsons while she was around, but it was still pretty effective. And of course, the storyline between Dahlia and Esther ended pretty poetically, as Esther was actually able to, convince and really apologize to Dahlia, and their history together in the flashbacks and stuff, with when the Vikings invaded their village and such, for kind of going along with them not really sticking to her sister. So I think that ended a lot happier than it could have, really. But in the meantime, Klaus had also condemned Haley and Jackson to the Crescent Moon Curse, which would mean they would only be humans on the full moon, and then they'd be in their wolf form for the rest of the time. So that's sort of a punishment for, Haley trying to run away with Klaus's child, their child, really. But, she is right in a way, Haley is, and the rest of them and stuff. As long as that baby, as long as Hope is Klaus's daughter, Klaus's blood, she's going to have like 1,000 years worth of enemies, that Klaus has made, just like automatically they'd all want to, be gunning for and stuff like that. But, again, I think Klaus does have purely the best intentions for his daughter. That is something he really, truly does care about. So I think, in a way, Haley at the same time was a bit stupid to think it would be a good idea to run off with Jackson to the bayou. Like, yes, Jackson and his people, know the bayou, like the back of their hand. But Dahlia could find them. I mean, come on, it's not that hard. She's like one of the most powerful, probably... So I had Subway before I started this video, but anyway, Dahlia is probably the most powerful witch we've seen on either the Vampire Diaries or the originals, along with Esther, of course. So I think she could eventually find them. They'd be caught eventually and wouldn't end very well, I don't think. So wouldn't it be better to be protected by the most powerful creatures left on Earth than to just keep running where he'd eventually be found by the most powerful witch? Yeah, okay, but anyway, even though I'm annoyed with the Haley character, I do get her at times, and I do think Phoebe Tonkin does a great job. She's a very good actress. She does great in the role, but the character just kind of bugs me a little bit. Not quite as much as Caroline does on the Vampire Diaries, but she's getting there. I did like how Davina developed this season, though, I will say. She had that romance with Cole and stuff, and it was good to see development from Cole, him sort of caring and stuff. But again, I wish it was the original actor that we seen in the Vampire Diaries and in the flashbacks of the originals. And, excuse me. And it does seem like we could see that eventually on the show, on the original actor back, but I just wish for all his development this season it was the original actor. It would have meant more to me if it had been. But I still think it was pretty good. And Davina, really becoming the leader of the witches, the leader of her people, the region, and I just think that's a really good place for season to just start, and she has this, huge grudge against Klaus and all of them again, and so I think that's going to be a big focus for season 3, or at least one of them, is that Davina is wanting to go to war with Klaus and the rest of them, and of course Marcel's on a neutral standpoint with that, so I think that should be pretty good. It could be anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. And I did like Klaus and Cammie's relationship this season. It hasn't blossomed yet, but you find out that Cammie does, like we kind of thought already, does have feelings for Klaus despite, her common sense and thinking of him as a monster. Except Cammie has seen other sides to Klaus that, maybe people besides Elijah, haven't. Elijah and Rebecca anyway. Even with, people still want, Caroline, Klaus and Caroline. But, yes, I kind of the only time I really cared about Caroline was when Klaus cared about her. On the Vampire Diaries. But I feel like if, I almost said Caroline again. I feel like if Caroline was brought onto the originals, they'd probably, have her, sleep with Marcel or something like that. So I think it'd just become irritating. With Cammie and Klaus, however, Cammie, she has that, psych major and stuff. She actually understands Klaus's pain. She really does feel for him. She understands him, whereas Caroline, was still hard for her to see the good in him, constantly. So I think Cammie may actually be better for Klaus, and I kind of hope they're the long-term, Damon and Elena of the show. I do hope that's the case. Although I'm not sure what their long-term plan is for Klaus and Haley, I don't know, but I really do support Klaus and Cammie at this point for sure. They had a definite tease. They almost kissed at the end of the season, but you know how it goes. Klaus walks away because he knows what he is and what he brings into people that are close to him in his life and things like that. But I did think it's a good tease and build up nonetheless. So we know it's coming. I just don't know when. So I think that was really good too. And I'd be completely pissed if I forgot to talk about how Klaus and Mikael concluded this season. Of course, Klaus was actually able to meet his real father, Ansel, who Esther brought back to try and, bring Klaus over to her side when she was, in that other body and stuff. And Ansel did actually have good intentions to meet Klaus again, but Klaus said even if his intentions were pure, that Ansel really, did want to help, him defend Hope and stuff. Esther could actually twist his mind and, ended up using him against the rest of them and stuff like that. So Klaus had to kill him, which is, of course, very, very, traumatic for him to do. He finally getting his father he said he would have wanted, if he had known him from the start and things like that. But at this point, that just can't work for him. It's a very complex and in-depth thing. I really like how they do it. But with Michael, he was a reoccurring presence this season. I told you how much I like the 4 and 5 episodes. I focused on him and began trying to use him and stuff. But how it ended was very interesting because I think that was episode 18, where Klaus and Michael end up trying to work together against Dahlia and stuff. They actually fight side by side, despite both of them, looking like they could kill each other at any second. I think it was cool seeing them fight side by side, them sort of nodding to each other and sort of like, despite what Michael says, I think he does know how skilled and powerful Klaus is at this point. And, despite that, Klaus does kill Michael at the end. He finally, puts him down and stuff. And much to Freya's distraught, because Freya was the child Michael had thought he had lost long ago, like the oldest one and stuff like that. And that was at a point when Michael still had some humanity in him. He did really care about Freya. And thus he did treat Freya quite a lot better than he did by the time Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca were around. By then he was very cruel, very cold, and removed and stuff. But, so of course it would be more traumatic for Freya to see him die. But I like the final conversation he and Klaus had. Klaus questions him, why did you hate me? Just tell me. Because, even before he grew into something Michael couldn't respect, what, triggered that, hate no matter what. And, Michael just says, I don't know, I just did. And I would have liked to know more about that. And I think they could do something, because the Vampire Diaries have, brought back dead characters temporarily before. So I would like to see that maybe at some point, just to see if that could develop into, somewhat of a redemption for Michael. I don't know. That'd be very hard to do, and I'd be fine if they just left it where it is too. I don't want them to ruin it if I do that either, but I did like how he did that. Michael at least sort of acknowledging that his hate's probably unwarranted, but he just has this feeling he can't shake it, despite it not making sense or making sense. I don't know. But I thought that was amazing. Just really, really well done. Fantastic acting from Joseph Morgan, of course, and the actor who plays Michael. Just all around fantastic. But yeah, I already talked about how the Esther and Dahlia thing ended for the season and stuff. And yeah. So overall, I think it was a very, very good season of the originals, and it's definitely probably my favorite show on air right now, along with The Vampire Diaries and The Walking Dead close behind that. The original Walking Dead, anyway. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it ran a little bit long, but not quite as long as some of my other general video reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed it anyway, though, and I'll catch you guys next time. For tonight, actually, I'll be reviewing, the Fear the Walking Dead season finale and the Strain season 2 finale. So if you guys are ready for that, and peace.